Hi guys, welcome to this new video tutorial. Today I'm gonna talk about React components using state. So for this video tutorial, you can download the resource materials from the link provided in the video description, or you can use Code Sandbox. So for both of them, I'll provide a link inside the video description. And this is the current app that I'm running on my computer. As you can see, it's just a plain blank page, and you can do the same by removing the headers from the app file on Code Sandbox, and you have the same code. Probably you will do some automatic formatting, but you can just add div closing tag back again. Oops, I misspelled it. So everything should be fine, and you can just go ahead and follow what I do inside Visual Studio Code. Okay, so I'm just gonna start by creating a new class component. I'll call it a state component. Extends React component. Okay, and we're gonna need to use the constructor, and the constructor receives the properties, and we use the super method to access them. And then we're gonna create our state. If I do just this, we will have an empty state, but we can still edit it. However, for today's video tutorial, I'm just gonna show you how we can create a counter. Okay, so I'll have a counter and I'll give it a default value, which will be 0. Okay, and inside the app function, I'm gonna add our state component. Okay, now my issue is I don't have a render function inside the state component. So I'm gonna go ahead and implement it. Now I'm gonna add some HTML, and we're gonna create a button, and we're gonna add an event which will be triggered on clicking this button, and I'm gonna use an arrow function so I can update my current state. So in order to update your state, you need to use the set state function. Okay, we're gonna open bracket, curly brackets, and I'm gonna add counter. So now I need to access the previous value of my counter so that I can increase it by 1 whenever user clicks this button. So I need to do this dot state dot counter plus 1. Okay, now I'm gonna add a name for this button. It will have a value. I'll call it please click me. Okay, and in here I'm gonna add some I'm gonna add a header which is gonna show you how many times you clicked this button. Okay, so we need to use curly braces again and do this state of counter, and I need to close the curly braces. Okay, I'm just gonna reformat it. I'm gonna save it, and now if I'm going in the browser on my page, you can see I have the value 0, and then I have the button, and once I click the button, the value updates, and it keeps updating, and so on and so on. One of the things you need to consider is that set state is an async function, meaning that it's not gonna run synchronously. So sometimes the update might be delayed, such that if you do really quick, sometimes you'll notice like a delay. And you could have seen this delay a bit earlier. Now it seems to work just fine. So if I'm gonna refresh the page, React is gonna forget the state of this component, so it's gonna become 0 again. Also, I'm gonna copy paste this, and I'll have two components so that you can see they don't share the same value. So if I'm updating here, it's not gonna update here as well. Only gets updated when its correspondent button gets clicked. Also, you can create a function if you want, so that you don't need to use arrow functions, because there's a disadvantage with the arrow function, because every time you click, basically this function is created. Okay, so it hasn't proven that this is gonna cause a significant performance decrease, but you might need to consider this. We can create a function called handle click, and I'm just gonna call this one once the button is clicked. So I'll have the state updated from here. I'll actually just copy the code that I got here. So I'm gonna replace with this dot handle click. However, when you're using functions this way, it is important to remember to bind the function to the component itself so that you can access the state. And as you can see, it works as well. So these are two ways of handling events. It's very important that you remember adding the binding event inside the constructor when you use this kind of functions. Or you can simply not do it and use arrow functions inline here. Or you can create a different arrow function here, and you don't need even event binding either. So I'll have a handle click 2. I'm just gonna copy paste the code that we have for handle click, and as you can see, it works just fine. So it is your choice between using arrow functions or using regular functions. But be careful, because with regular functions, you need to bind them inside the constructor. And the arrow functions, the disadvantage is that the function is created every time the event is triggered. It is your choice, but there might be a disadvantage using the arrow functions, because they might generate overhead and slow down things. Okay, so hopefully you understand today's tutorial, and I hope I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.